Hello creatives, welcome to a Kid Called Beast Maker session. In this session we have Void, and today we're diving into isometric room design. Here's an example of what we're making today. Let's get started. Cool.
I'm recording. Okay, so what's up guys? I'm back. Today we're gonna do some isometric room design. And there's some good news as well because our good friends at A Kid Called Beast will give away 70 Beast points if you are going to make one of yourself and post them in the comments of their post, right Mimi?
Yes, sorry, I'm muted. Yes, 70 Beast points to a random person.
Let's go. So I'm gonna explain how we make one ourselves from scratch. And then y'all can go win some tickets to enter the raffle. What about that? That's nice. That's a cool little touch. Okay, so as we can see, we're just starting off with a new Blender file. So we have everything. We have our light, we have our camera, and we have our cube. And we're going to start by deleting our light, delete, and we're going to delete our camera. There we go. So what's left in our Blender screen is our cube, and as we can see, our cube is already the right direction of an isometric room. So the only thing that's not isometric room vibey right now is that it's too much sides of it. So we're just going to delete some sides to start. So I'm just going to select our cube, and then we're going to edit mode. So how do I go to edit mode? I just press tab, I click the cube, and I press tab. There we go. We see we have our cube, and we see our cube is fully selected. So we don't want to have our cube fully selected. We're just going to select a couple of faces. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to press C. When you see the little circle around my cursor, and I'm just going to click. Oh no. Okay, so I'm still on not on the right setting. So first I gotta select here at the top next to edit mode. There's this little square. That means I'm going to select faces. If it shows the point, then it means I'm selecting my vertexes, which is the little dots at the end of everything. And otherwise I would be selecting, let's see, the edges. So the full edges here, you're going to be selecting this. But however, we want to delete the flat faces of our square. So we're just going to be selecting our faces. There we go. I pressed C again. We have the circle on our cursor, and we can select the 3 faces that we don't need anymore. So that being said, I'm going to delete those by pressing X, and I will delete the faces that we don't need. So there we go. Our isometric room exterior is already made. We can start by designing our room. We can start doing what we want with it. So we're good to go with it. I love to start my room with the floor being on the actual floor of our scene. So I'm going to change the Z location. And because it's the standard cube that was given to us in the new file, if I make the Z location here in object properties, Z location to 1, it will be perfectly aligned with the floor and everything will work properly as well. Okay, so that's the first thing. We got our 2 walls and we got our floor plan. That's most important of a isometric room. What's also important is our camera stance. Where's our camera? How is everything looking? Okay, so I'm just adding a camera. There is a camera right now in my scene, but I want to make sure, like the view of an isometric room needs to be spot on. It can be a little wonky, it can be too much tilted downwards, or so it has to be like the correct rotation of everything. So while the camera is selected, I'm going again to object properties, and I'm going to C and my rotation. Rotation X, I want it to be 45 degrees, rotation Y 0, and rotation Z again 45 degrees. As we can see now, I'm just gonna put it up a little bit more. It will be the perfect view of an isometric room. I'm going to open up a new window because I want to see what our camera is right now filming. So this is still too close. I'm just going to make sure you guys can see my second window. No, you can't. Okay, so I'm just going to, give me a second. I'm going to change the screen that I'm sharing. Make sure I will share my screen. There we go. Go live. Okay, so now you should be able to see everything. I'm going to open a new window and I'm going to add to my new window. There we go. Fully to the left, please. There we go. Camera is selected and I'm going to set active camera. So here we can see what's happening on the camera in real time. So as we can see, it's still a little bit too close of our screen. So I'm going to just make sure the camera is a little bit further, and I want to make sure the camera is square as well, because that's, in my opinion, the best resolution to post on Twitter. If you're posting on TikTok or Instagram, or that's something different, but on Twitter I love a square resolution. Voila, we got a perfect isometric room, how do you call it, camera frame that will be good once we are rendering it. Okay, so I'm going to close the screen, I'm going to open up my workspace again, and now it's time to go to work designing our room. So, isometric room is something you could make whatever you want of it. You can make a bathroom, you can make a kitchen, you can make a workspace, you could make a diner, you could make anything you want to make. You can really go out with it. Today I want to make a workspace for a beast, like you saw in the post, and to really get things started, you can always use Blender Kit assets. Like, I mean, I want to add something like a kitchen. There we go, and we can just use this kitchen, click, it will be in here. But for starters, we're gonna make something ourselves, and we're gonna make the table that will be in our center. We're gonna make this one ourselves. So, how are we going to make a table? A table is a fairly easy object to make, and we're going to start by adding add mesh. We're gonna add a cylinder. So this cylinder will be one of the so you have the tabletop, and then you have the four paws of the table. It's not a paw, I don't know, somebody say a word in the chat please, I forgot the word for a table thing where the table rests on. Okay, so this is obviously way too big, it's way too round, it's way too, how do you say, it's way too, yeah, way too big. So I'm just gonna scale it down firstly. And then I want to make sure it's not too thick. I just want to make sure it is a little bit more slender. A table paw. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, the table legs, the label text. Okay, the table legs. There we go. So I'm just gonna make sure we got like the right amount of height to it. We're not gonna make a very high table. There we go. This seems about right. I'm going to make it a little bit more round. There we go. Okay, so we have a table leg, but it's a little bit, how do you say it? It's a little bit dull. There's not much happening to our table leg. So I would like to make a table leg that's maybe going a little bit more narrow to the bottom, where it's a little bit wider up towards the end. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to select our table leg. Again, I'm going to object to edit mode, and I want to select the most down part of the leg. So this one, and I'm just going to select this like this. So I only got the this little circle here at the bottom, and I'm just going to scale. I just press S to scale, and now I'm going to make sure it's more narrow. And there we go. The bottom is more narrow, the top is wider, and we have something that looks way more like a natural leg of a table. There we go. And I think this is a perfectly good, easy table leg. So I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate it by Shift D. I duplicate it, I press Shift D again, I click, I move it, I press Shift D again, I click, and I move it. There we go. We have our 4 table legs made within, I think, 5 minutes. They are just, I think, in the right way here. Let's have a look at them. This will be fine. Okay, perfect. So we don't have a table without a tabletop though. So we're gonna add a tabletop, and there are a few ways to do it, but today I'm going to do it with a cube. There we go. No, I'm going to do it with a plane. There we go. And I'm just going to, because our plane is way too big, I'm going to make sure it's smaller. Still smaller. And I'm going to make sure it's a little bit wider at the length. There we go. I think lengthwise we're looking at a pretty decent table right now. Okay, but however, this is a little bit of a flat table. You're not going to see a lot of it when you're looking from this angle. However, we still need to make sure the details are correct. So how we're gonna do it? Again, I press edit mode, I select the top face and I press E, which means extrude. So I'm just extruding our plane to be like a cube. So I just make sure this plane is going to the top and that it gets wider, which makes it more natural, which makes it more look like a table. Again, we want to make sure we add some extra details to it to make it come alive more. So how are we going to do this? Again, I select the top face, I select scale, and I scale only the top part a little bit so that we get some sort of curvature on the edges, so we can say it looks like an actual table that you could buy. We just put it on top of the table legs. There we go. Et voila, we have a table that looks, there we go, that looks pretty decent in my opinion, which didn't take us too long to work on. I'm going to put our table in the middle of our room. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. We have our first object inside of our room, which is looking pretty great. So we've made the table, but our table is still gray. It's not a solid. So we gotta make sure our table is looking like a natural table. So it's not just a gray thingy. So first of all, I need to add a light so we can see all the things we're going to do to our table. So I just add an area light and I put it at the top of our box. Why? Because I think that's the most natural way to light your room when you're using an isometric design. You can also add lights here, but if you're going for a daylight, setting a nice big square light at the top of your room usually works pretty good. So our table needs some kind of wood, and here we use Blender Kit again. We have a material and we have a lot of wood materials that will make sure our table looks as if it was a real table. So we're just going to scroll through all the wood kinds we have, and we're going to select one which we think, oh, this would be nice on a table inside of our workspace. You don't have to use wood, of course, you can use another material as well. But today I'm going for a wooden table. Maybe it's an inside table, so we don't want to put a rough wood material on it. A rough wood material would be an exterior table more, so maybe something scratched would work as well. Let's see. This is looking pretty weird, so we're not going to use this. Maybe we can use this one. Okay, this is looking better. Okay, so we're going with this kind of wood for now. We're just going to put it on every leg as well. Like I said, you can use, okay, let's maybe use a black metal material for the legs so it gets a more industrial kind of feel. Maybe some black nickel would work, I think. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, I think this would work. Let's add a little bit more light so we can see our changes better. Let's see, 25, there we go. Okay, so we have our table, we have our wooden top, and we have our metal legs. I'm just going to change our render engine to cycles because I just love working in cycles. It makes things look more realistic. Eevee is a faster render. I think both work pretty cool, but I am a bigger fan of cycles. So there we go, we have our table, which is looking pretty good. We're going to go back to our gray view, and right now what we need to do is we need to add more stuff to our room to make it look cozy, or how do we say it, like a more natural room, because just a room with a table would be a little silly, right? Okay, so we're going to add a chair to our table, because every table needs a chair. So we're just going to choose a cool chair that would be nice in a workplace environment, because it's important to remember what we're making. If you're going for more of a saloon environment, I think this chair would work nice. If you're going more for a home environment or a trendy design, this chair would work great, but we're going for a workplace thingy, so we really need to make sure it's a chair that would fit the environment, and I think this one is pretty nice actually. I'm going to put this in here and let's see what it gives us. There we go, here's our chair. Obviously it's too big, so I press S and I scale it again. I rotate it so it's in the right order, in the right position, I'm sorry. There we go. Obviously it's still too big, so again we scale it. Maybe a little bit bigger. We just make sure the placement of our chair is correct. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I think we got a nice scaling of our chair, and I think this works great. Okay, so again, I'm gonna select my chair, Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to make sure we have 4 chairs in our dining room. I think it could use a little bit more to the left, like this. Again, we need 2 more, so I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to make sure our chair is turned on the Z-axis 180 degrees, so it's perfectly on the other side of the table. And again, we need 1 more, so I just press Shift D to duplicate. Et voila! We have 4 chairs to our newly made table, which looks already like a pretty cool office building. Okay, so there are a lot of things we can do right now. We can add a whiteboard or a kitchen. We gotta decide if we're going for a conference room or a workplace kitchen. I think a kitchen would fill up the place pretty nicely here. So let's search for a kitchen they have. Again, we're trying to make something that would fit in a, here we see an isometric room as well. Like a kitchen that would work well in this environment. So not like with a kitchen island, not with too much homey vibes. I think this one is a good workplace kitchen. There's not too much appliances. The colors are pretty standard, and I think this one will fit nicely into our little scene. So again, obviously it's too big, So I select our kitchen and I press S to scale it down again. There we go. I'm just going to rotate our kitchen 90 degrees so we can put it against this wall. There we go. Are we putting it against the wall? Let's see. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, perfect. So it's here against the wall. We have some place here. Here we have our little space for the workers. I'm just going to make sure our table is a little bit more to the right. Since we made this table ourselves, all table legs and tabletop are a different position. So we need to make sure we select all of them together once we want to do something with it. We can also select everything, right click and then press join to make sure our mesh is joined, and we can just move everything once we click just the table. And if you want to keep the chairs in place as well, we can also press join with the chairs and we can move everything like this. This is a good thing to do if you're sure you want to go in this direction. However, if later on I want to make sure there's a beast sitting in here, I can't move the chair apart anymore. So right now this is not a perfect decision for us, since I don't know what I'm going to do with the design later on. So I'm just going to select everything manually and I'm going to give it the middle place of the room where there's enough space from the kitchen so people can still walk by here. And I think this one looks pretty cool. Okay, so we still have some gaps here we need to fill. We still have this whole wall where nothing's happening, so we still have some work to do. I don't know if Blender Kit has it, but maybe a water cooler would be cool. But I don't know if it is here actually. Okay, so we have one and it looks like a decent one. A water dispenser. I'm gonna search for a water dispenser. Okay, yeah, this is a big one. So why didn't I use this one? Because it's a countertop dispenser. This is a standalone one. Oh, this one is neat as well. It's looking a little bit more modern. This one as well. I think this one will match the vibes of our kitchen better, so I'm going to use this one. There we go, we have a pretty cool water cooler. And I'm just gonna make sure I put it next to the kitchen. Again, we turn it 90 degrees. There we go. It's still too big, of course. So we're gonna make sure it's the right properties. And we set it next to our kitchen. I think this is the right size, and I think this is looking pretty good as well. Okay, so in here we still have our whole wall for us. So I'm thinking maybe a board or a whiteboard maybe would be cool to put on this wall. Let's see. We have a blackboard as well, but that's more of a school. It will be instantly school environment. So this whiteboard looks, I think, perfect for the job we want to do. So I'm just going to have to make sure it's straight. So I'm going to give it 90 degrees and I'm going to put it onto our wall. There we go. I'm gonna put it a little bit lower so people can actually write stuff on it. Okay, there we go. This is looking pretty cool. I think it could use some plants though. It's very empty right now and we could definitely use some cool plants. This is a neat one, but I think this one will be more suited for a work environment. So I'm going to use this one. Again, I select it, I scale it, and I put it into the corner where I wanted it to be. We gotta make sure it's not punching through the wall like this. It's just gotta be there and not interfere with anything. We can see it's interfering right here, so maybe we can just turn it around a little bit so we're not getting it go through anything, but it still does. So I'm going to make sure it goes a little bit more to the side. And I'm going to again, I'm again going to turn it around. And let's see if we can find a setting where it works great with the environment. And I don't think we will find a setting, so we're just going to have to fix it ourselves, which is not a big deal. I'm going to first maybe just see if I scale it down a little bit. Maybe this could work. Okay, there we go. It can be a little bit bigger now. Okay, perfect. Just going to put a little bit closer to the machine. And now it's not touching anything anymore. And I think it's looking pretty great right now. Okay, perfect. So our plant is here. Still here, we could use maybe a plant as well. Something not too big because it's going to be in front of the whiteboard and we don't want the plant to be in front of the whiteboard. Maybe some, like this, some indoor plant. It would be great for on the floor. Yeah, let's go with this one. It's a little bit big, so again, we scale it down. We're gonna scale it down a little bit more. And we don't want it to be interfering with our whiteboard. It has to make the room feel more alive. It doesn't have to interfere with the people working there. So I think this is a pretty good setting for it, and I feel our table could be a little bit more centered. So again, I select my table and I select my 4, there we go, and I select my 4 chairs. Et voila. I think this is a pretty good placement for the table. Okay, awesome. I think here on top of the kitchen, like some sort of hanging plant would be cool. Let's see if we can find something that hangs over a little bit, just to give the room a little bit more. Maybe a hanging plant. There we go. Oh, something like this would be great actually. I'm just going to use this. Like, these things are great to put on the walls as well. I'm just going to do it. It really adds life to the room when you use plants. Still need to rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. It's still way too big, so smaller. And I'm going to put it on the wall. There we go. I love some symmetry, so I'm going to make sure it's in the middle of our wall and our whiteboard. There we go. Make sure it touches the wall. Yeah, I think this looks good. Then we go back to our hanging plant, which is this one. I'm going to put it on top of our kitchen because we love a good plant in our work environment. It gives oxygen and it makes you work harder. Work harder. Okay, there we go. Again, little details will do a lot when you're designing your room. I think this is looking pretty nice as well. However, what's bothering me right now is that our room isn't, you see, there's way too much space in here. But however, I can't make everything bigger because the scale won't be correct anymore. So what do I want to do? I want to make sure these edges are more down low, so it looks more natural. So how are we going to achieve it is we're going again to edit mode. There we go. We select no faces today. We're going to select the edges only. So we want the top edge and we want this top edge. So we select them both by clicking them or pressing shift. And I want to move them, and I want to move them down. There we go. And this looks more like a natural height of a room. which is, I think, in my opinion, a way better isometric room than the one we had before. Whiteboard, I want to make it a little bit more to the left. Of course, I need my hanging wooden plant a little bit more to the left as well, so this stays in the middle of it. And I think this is looking pretty neat. I'm going to save it. File, save as, and then we do isometric 2, and we're just saving it. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how it's actually looking in real time. I'm just going to take our second screen, select our camera, make sure we see what's happening on our camera, and then I'm just going to go to my render view, and let's see how we are doing. Okay, so this is looking pretty decent. Our room is still great though, so this is not looking pretty good right now. We still need to fix our room. Again, we are going to put some textures on our walls. I'm going to open up again our workspace, and now we need to give these two a wallpaper texture and this one a floor texture. But as you can see, I can select our bottom one solo, so we still have to separate them. So again, I select it, we go to edit mode. I want to select the faces now again, because we want to select the square, not the edges. I want to select the square in here, and I want to change this. So what do? I select it, I go to separate, and I separate the selection that I just selected, which is only the floor. So now I can select the floor, and I can select the walls separately. So the floor should be some tile, maybe some concrete tile or something. That would be pretty reminiscent of a workplace, a modern loft vibe, like a tech startup workplace. No Asian tiles, tiles with puddles, absolutely not. If you're working in a place that has tiles with puddles, please quit your job immediately. Normal tiles, concrete tiles. Yeah, we're looking for some concrete tiles. Oh yeah, this would work perfectly in my opinion. So I just put the concrete tiles on our floor. Now we want to see how it's looking, so we are just going to open it up, and there we go. We have our tiles. They are looking great, honestly. So now we still need our wallpaper to be filled in, and we are looking for, it could be some concrete as well, actually. It could be some wallpaper, it could be some wood as well. We're just scrolling through some cool wallpapers, but I don't think we're going for a wallpaper vibe though. Let's see what we can find in here. I think I'm going for some plaster, maybe. This would be pretty workplace-y. It can be too damaged. Some gray plaster, but it will be maybe a little bit too gray. Yeah, I don't know. This looks like an outdoor thing. We want something indoor. Yeah, something like, yeah, like this, but this is going to give some weird vibes. Some painted plaster, that would be cool. I think we're looking for this. Okay, yeah, this is looking pretty cool. Yeah, this is the vibes we're going for. I like this a lot. Okay, so we have everything in place. The only thing right now that's bothering me is there is light from the kitchen while the sun is shining, so I want to make sure the kitchen lights are off. Let's go and fix this. We have our kitchen, and in our kitchen we see we have some lighting setups, so we are going to mute our lights, and now we muted them in our viewport. So again, I'm going to go here, and we see our lights have been muted inside of the viewport. However, when I render, they are still going to show. So I'm going to make sure they are out in our render as well by unclicking the camera. So now everything will be shut down and everything will not be showing on the render, and we will have a render that looks exactly like our viewport. I'm not sure the lightning is there yet, so we are going to fix it right now. Okay, so we have two lightnings going on in our scene. We have the light that we put in here, like our area light, and we have our environmental light that's working as well. So our environmental light, you think it doesn't do a lot, but I'm going to make sure it's off. And as you can see, everything around us turns black and there is no environmental light happening in here. So now we're only working with our area light. There are a few things when working with lights that you need to keep in mind. For example, first thing is the color. If we're going for a, let's say, sunset, we could use a little yellowish light, which is not a lot of change that I'm doing, but you're gonna see a big difference. When you're going for a night vibe, you should add a little more to the blue side and you're really getting a midnight dark workplace vibe. Again, we're using a inside workplace environment with some artificial light, so I could use a little white light. We need to make sure the power is correct, but first of all I'm gonna make sure the size is correct. And the size of your lights will do a lot of good or a lot of damage. So I'm going to make sure our light size is 0, and as we can see, there is no light happening inside of our scene, except for our kitchen appliances, which are giving some light in here. I'm going to slowly raise our size of our square light, and we're going to see the difference it does. So now it's a very small light, and as we can see, the shadows are razor sharp. Everything is aligned properly. This really looks like there is a small little light in the middle of the room, and it's really giving a dark and eerie vibe to me. It's how more we increase the size, how more our shadows will not be as sharp. As you can see, there's a big difference between 0.2 and between 1.6. So our shadows are not as sharp, not as detailed with a bigger light as with a small light. So depending on the situation that we're working on, depending on the render, on your personal style, you should make sure your sizes are giving off the vibe you're looking for in your render. For today's render, I'm going to select 1.5 as a size because I don't want too sharp shadows, and I want a normal, cool, cozy lighting. Let's give some more light, which is right now at a 50 power with a pretty white light and a 1.5 meter size, which is giving me a cool, everybody welcome office vibe. Again, our background is completely dark right now, and I maybe want to change that. I maybe want to give it a red carpet or a blue vibe or something. So we're gonna add this first. I'm going to add a plane, and I'm going to scale up the plane until it's fully visible on my render. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a problem because my plane is now intertwining with my tiles of my floor. So I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit more beneath it, and there we go. We have a beautiful background, and we have our isometric room, which is still the room that we were working on. I'm going to change the color of our plane because I wanted it to be red or blue. So how I'm gonna do it is I'm selecting my plane, I go to our material properties, I select to give it a new material, and I go for a different base color, which will be, we can do something red, we can do something blue, we can do something green, all depends on your style. We can do something yellow, but it's not lighting up as the way I want it to. Why isn't it doing this? Because I'm only giving light inside of our room right now. I also want to have light on our plane. So again, we're going to our world lightning, and our strength is now at 0 because I put it there, but I'm going to change our strength to 1. There we go. This is not looking good, but you don't have to look at it. I'm just going to make sure we only see our render region, and now we see that our render is better aligned, is better lighted than it was before. So again, 0, now it's dark, we have a lot of shadow going on. Right now we have 1, it's way more light, it's way lighter. We can put 2, we can put even 5, but we have to make sure we don't damage our isometric room though. So we have to be careful with what we are doing. I'm just going to select 2.5 because I think that's a setting that we could work right now. I don't really like the yellow color too much. I want it a little bit darker for first thing, so our yellow from here pops more, and I maybe want to give it a red color. A blue would contrast the yellow as well, but I think a red color would work better. Okay, so now we've got a dark black, we've got a bright red, but I think we're going to go somewhere in the middle. There we go. I think this is right, and then maybe we can change our strength again to, let's say, 4. Again, I'm going to go back to 2. I'm just looking what changes inside of our room. Let's say 5. Okay, maybe we could make it a little bit brighter, but that is not going to help us. If I make it dark again, we will see what it is like without a light. So I'm just going to make it a little gray, and I'm going to put it at 2.5 again. This looks great. I think our camera should be more aligned. So let's make it happen. I just gotta move it around a little bit more to the top. There we go. I think this is looking good right now. And now we have our isometric room, which is still a little bit boring if you ask me. So I think it would be fine for us if we could add a beast or two into the mix. Or should I say into the Mixamo, because this is the point, my fellow bestios, where you take out your Mixamo and where we go cracking some cool thingies with Mixamo. Okay, so we have, I think, 3 or 4 options for a beast to be. It's one at the whiteboard, there could be one sitting at the table, one at the kitchen, and there could be one at the water cooler. So I think we will add, we still have 10 minutes, so I think we will add 2 beasts. If y'all want to have a beast featured, send one to the chat and I will download it and I will put it inside of our isometric room. For now, I'm going to put my beast in it and I'm going to make sure he is sitting in the table. So I'm just going to Mixamo and I'll just take something where he is sitting quietly, minding his own business in a normal way. Or maybe he could be sleeping. That would be funny though. Like he's a little bit tired, like, ugh, I don't want to be here. Ugh. I'm gonna take this one with skin. There we go. Okay, I'm downloading my skin, so we will be using this one. I see red has a champ beast T-pose, so red is going inside of our isometric room. Of course, red is going to be in here because the background is red. I'm just uploading red's FBX file, and now I'm going to be adding mine first. So I'm going to be adding the FBX that I just downloaded right now, which is the sitting, and I'll just give him a second to load in my FBX. There we go. It's a little bit big, but we can obviously make sure it gets fixed. It's still a bit big though. I think this might be some good proportion, and I'm going to put it inside of this chair because I have a feeling that there won't be a lot happening in that side of our panel. So I think this will be a good way for our beast to be sitting here. Let's see, I gotta move the chair, but first I see Red's beast has been uploaded. So if you're not don't know how Mixamo works, you just upload your T-pose and then you make sure you connect all the dots onto the right points of your beast. There we go, and it will give you something you can work with. So this one is busy, we can go back to creating our scene. Our chair needs to be pulled back a little bit. I'm going to make sure it's a little bit more to the side, so it adds a little bit more life. It's not so static anymore. Again, our beast can be as well a little bit more to the side, a little bit higher, a little bit more to the front. There we go. I think this is looking pretty cool. Again, we can see my textures are missing, so I'm gonna fix it by importing my GLB. I'm going to my downloads, I'm going to select my beast 1538, which is my GLB of my beast, and in the GLB all the textures will be there. So as we can see, another huge beast has entered the scene, but I only need the textures. So I select the balaclava of my beast, it says business. I uploaded the GLB, which also has a business, and there we go, we have a perfectly colored business balaclava. We have corduroy brown, but the corduroy brown from the GLB file is, in my opinion, a better brown because it's more consistent, as you can see here. So I'm just going to change the brown of my cap to this one as well. Give me a second. There we go, we're almost there. There we go, it's perfect. And there we go. As you can see, there's a little how do you say, glitching happening with my sweater. You're not going to see it from afar. So this will be the view of the watcher. So you're not going to see it. However, we can still fix it though. Now, because no one's gonna see it, that we don't need to fix it. So I select my sweater. I then, again, go to edit mode. But instead of editing, I go to sculpt mode. Which means I can smooth out my sweater. And there we go. We fixed our sweater that's overlapping with our chair. And now everything looks pretty normal, if you ask me. I just want to see and I want to check if there is... Okay, so Red is ready to get animated. So, where are we going to put it? Red, are you thirsty or do you want to write something down? Up to you, man. Okay, Red is going to write something down. Let's see, we need like something that makes it look like he's writing. Oh, this is perfect. So we're going to be looking from it from the back, and we're only going to do a photo, so this will make it look like he's writing something. However, I think we want to make him write with his other hand maybe, because now he will be writing left. No, it will be fine. I think this will be fine. So I'm just going to download it. There we go. Download with skin. Maybe we can put something on the board like AKCB rules or something. That will be funny. Okay, so you are downloading my good old friendo FBX, and we are going to select your FBX. And there we go. Standing torch. Again, you are a huge beastio. We're going to make you a little bit smaller, and we're going to make sure you are riding on the whiteboard. There we go. Okay, we definitely need something on the whiteboard. I still need another beast though. Oh man, Ace, this is looking incredible, man. you got a basketball hoop in your workspace. I mean, if you're ever hiring, just call me. I need another beast though. If someone has a beast to be put in it, send your FBX or send your blend file. We'll put it in it. For now, I will write something on the whiteboard. Okay, so this will be a good example. So this is the whiteboard. I now just selected it. and we see some materials on our whiteboard, which is whiteboard metal, whiteboard wood, whiteboard plastic, and whiteboard board. So the one we need to fill in is a whiteboard board. Again, what do we need to change of our whiteboard? Of our whiteboard, we could use Garfield. And how do we change what's on the surface? Okay, so this is pretty easy. We select the board and then we look at our material properties. And we see in our material properties only one PNG, and this means the PNG will be what's happening on site on our chalkboard. So to see what's happening, I'm just going to unpack the item and I'm going to use file from current directory. So again, click it again and it will open our chalk whiteboard. So this is what's getting used. If I want to change it, I could definitely just select this one, for example, and it will change what's on the whiteboard. This is not a whiteboard, this is not what we're looking for. But now that we know what was on our whiteboard and what is on here, the dimensions of the PNG we gotta have, we can open up Photoshop. Just give me a second. And we can use this image with the correct dimensions to just add something to it, and then it will automatically appear on the board without having to do too much of a work or too much hassle. We can just add whatever we had already. So let me just open Photoshop. There we go. I'm going to add a new file. I don't want a custom file. I want to go to, okay, so I'm just going to go to our file that has our textures. So we go to textures. So again, this was a file I just showed you. I open it here and I see Void Whip Project textures. So this is just a file I'm going for. Again, Void Whip textures, and there we go, chalk. I'm going to put my chalk inside of our Photoshop. And there we go. This is what's happening on the whiteboard. So I'm going to write AKCB rules, of course. I mean, mandatory. I'm going to make sure it is black because we're doing something marker, and I'm going to make sure we are using a marker font. This is not really a marker, maybe something handwritten. Okay, I'm going to go through my fonts quickly to see something that looks handwritten. No, this is not handwritten at all. Dun, dun, dun. Just to make it look more real, I think at the back of the fonts will be something usable. Some marker. No, we're not looking for something like this. Like if you're using a normal font, it will look off. If you really want to make sure it, okay, simple marker. If you want to make sure it looks authentic, you really need to make sure you got something that looks like someone just wrote it quickly, because else it will lose its reality. Not its reality, you know what I mean, its realness. Let's just search for one real quick. If you don't know where to, okay, perfect, this one works. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's maybe slant it a little bit. Oh, we could maybe give it some rise. Not so much, but like it's written a little bit. Yeah, like this maybe. Okay, great. This looks great. I'm going to maybe put a little bit bigger, 75. There we go. And I think this will work fine. So again, we're going to look at where red is writing. We see we have topic here, and here will be the letters. If we look again, here will be the letters. So I think this will work. I'm going to export and I'm going to save it with my downloads. I'm going to Whiteboard Isometric. There we go. Again, I go to Blender. We have our chalk. I'm going to switch it out for the one we just exported, which is, there we go, AKCB rules, like Red is writing it with his own hands. There we go. I would have liked another beast here. Let's maybe just add Red's beast again. I'm just gonna give it another color. He's on the counter and he's just taking something. Maybe he's taking a drink or something. I know the fax machine was pretty cool looking from behind, because it can really look like you're taking something. Yeah, this looks great. Again, with skin. I didn't ask though, but Red, do you give us permission to change the color of your training suit from your second beast to something like blue? The VX. Red is never going to allow it. I'm going to be banned forever. Okay, I'll just have 2 reds. It's fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what's happening here is that this is not the way I'm looking for it to work. I mean, I'm not looking for it to just stand there. I'm looking for him to really go take some water. However, all the other ones are already moving in a way I don't want to, so I want our frame that we're going to render to stay at 0, but I want frame like 110 from this animation. So I'm just selecting all keyframes and I'm moving this one till I have Red doing whatever I want. And I think this is a pretty good way to have him stand. Do we still have our... nope, we don't, so I'm going to open up a new window again. There we go. Open up. I want to see our camera view. Set active camera. Again, render view. Let's see. There we go. We have a cool red going on. Okay, Red, let's see. Can I change it to black? Let's see if it works. I don't want to mess up your colors though. I'm just going to add a new texture, which will be a gamma texture, which means I can just select a color I want, which is black at the moment. Let me just see. I want it to have a little bit of sheen. And I want to make sure it looks maybe a little bit of clear coat, like it looks like a training. And then I'm going to change this one to, again, a color and maybe a, what about a pink red? I'm gonna make a pink red. You don't can do anything about it, Red. I'm gonna make a pink red. I mean, it vibes though, pink red. I'm gonna change the balaclava texture to the texture that's on my beast, which is business, to give it another other layer. There we go. And then your thingy will become a pink thingy. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Absolutely gorgeous, if you ask me. Okay, I think we are ready to render. I'm going to just switch up my render settings for a second. We are going to our samples, which for those samples which will take a lot of time. Since we're just rendering an image, I'm just going to take 15. And this will be enough samples normally. If it isn't, we can come back and change it while we're rendering. That's not a big deal. I just noticed thing as well. I maybe want to put a flower on the table because it looks pretty empty. So I'm just going to quickly add a flower. Let's see, a cute little vase. Yeah, this is a good vase for on a table. So I will put this on the table. Let's get our vase. It's a huge vase. Let's make it a little smaller. There we go. There we go. And I think this works. I'm gonna make red black again because I think he will be mad. I don't think Red will like his pink piece. Red, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm already changing it. You're too late, man. Okay, this is better. Okay, yeah. I think this looks better though. Okay, there we go. I'm going to render my guys. So, isometric room in 1 hour where there's something happening. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
And that's a wrap. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. See you in our next maker session.